Hey folks, it's me, Screaming Sammy Sketch, the Sketch Man. You know the spiel by now. We're here at PAX South 2016, and we are talking with Dan from Lunchtime Studios. Your game is called Lords of New York, right?
Yep, Lords of New York.
First, what is it? What kind of game is it?
It's a 1920s poker RPG.
Poker RPG.
Right.
Could you explain that?
Sure. Well, the simplest way to think about it is that Matt Damon movie Rounders. So, you know, like Matt Damon is this amazing poker player, and he walked in this judge's room and he read everybody's hand blind. You're like, who's a superhero? We want to make you feel like that Matt Damon character. So we want to give you all these poker abilities to feel great.
And you said you had a little bit of a tech demo you're going to show us here, huh?
So to do this, we want to do is to have really high-end 2D. So in fact, we want to be a story-based 2D company. We go as far as say our aspirations to be like a Pixar. Sure. Our aspirations to be like the 2D of Pixar game, a Pixar of 2D games. So to do that, we invented our own animation tech so that we can build body language. And you can see his pupils are moving around. In fact, I can tell him to follow my mouse, so I can control his eyes, control his mouth. Whenever I get audio files, it will make his mouth move to those. Now the cool thing is that I built in subtle body language elements. Like for example, here's 3 different animations. He's going to breathe slightly, he's going to shift his weight, and he's going to be moving at the newspaper. Now let's say in the story, he runs around the corner and he's like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? You look kind of different. And he's like, no, nothing. But instead, what I did, I just changed his breath to be more amplified. So that's what's unique in 2D. Like 3D games can do skeletal animation all the time. We're doing this stuff in 2D so that we can build very dynamic animations. Easy way to see it is to say, inside our game, we've got a movie theater. You take your girlfriend to the movie theater. This is the frame within the movie. So in here, I'm going to make him just do a normal idle animation. He's going to say, oh, I've got my money, haha, look at me. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to act like a director. I'm going to say, okay, well, do it a lot. I want you to be dramatic about it. And then I can say, well, wait, tone it down some. Don't do it so much. So this way, based on things that are going on in the game, I can change how characters behave. So while he's doing this, maybe you says something he doesn't like. So I can tell him to shake his head no, and even drop a wink while he's doing it. So that way I can add body language, like micro gestures, while the things are going on. And we do that all the time, even in the demo, which you'll see like Vince might move back in shock about something he said, but then he doesn't like what he's lying to, so maybe he nods yes when he means no, things like that.
So let me ask, does that go into like the poker face, as it were?
Yes.
Is that sort of the inspiration of making sure you have this kind of mechanic that you can read the other players?
Right, so there was 2 aspects. One is to be really good about poker tells. So if you're playing a body language reader, your portrait will start showing anxiety as you raise. But if you use a poker tell, like a poker face, you can tone it down. But we also want our dialogue to have body language in it to make our characters rich. Because I don't think it's really been done is to say, here's some characters that are speaking dialogue, but I want them to reinforce it with the language we read every day as normal people, but it's all subtle micro gestures. And say, if I add, it's almost an experiment. If I add that in, do people kind of relate to our characters better than normal? Like, that's what I want to see, is to be like, can we make our characters more immersive by making them more human?
All right, now I got to ask, in full clarification, I haven't played this yet, so I don't know. But when you talk about facial animation and trying to make the characters readable, the first thing that pops into my mind is L.A. Noire.
Yep.
And L.A. Noire kind of dropped the ball real hard on that, where it's like, I think this person's lying, I'm going to do this, and then all of a sudden my guy's like, screw you, and yelling at him. So how do you balance that out and try and get that a little sharper?
So you're right. Like it's really difficult. Some people, like as a gamer, we don't read body language very well, right? So we have different abilities and things that you'll do to enhance it. So sometimes it'll be really exaggerated so that it's almost over the top at times if you enact it the right way. Some are just things to just add a layer of enhancement. So if you notice it, great. If you don't, it's okay too, because you can still play the game and like not learn those elements, and maybe you learn the hard way about a character, but you still, like, if you're observant and be like, you know what, I just don't feel right with what this guy's saying, it's not like you yes or no, you live or die based on if you read that guy's body language for real.
Why 1920s New York as opposed to, say, Vegas now, or World Series of Poker, stuff like that?
Well, I kind of feel, if there's ever a time to live in the 1920s, specifically it's 1927, which like everything in the world happened, just crazy stuff. So those real life events like Lindbergh crossing Atlantic, there's like like really incredible murder trials that are going on. All these things that when a Babe Ruth's record was broken, all these things go on during the time period where you're playing. So we were able to reflect them as like a tertiary thing that you can reflect on. So you actually have a boxing mini game, and you can kind of see reflections of like the characters that might be in the real boxing legends at the time, stuff like that.
Awesome. Is the game out yet? Are we still waiting?
10 more months.
10 more months.
Yeah. So it's about Christmas time is our target. So
is it PC, tablet? Where is it coming out at?
Yep. So it's our own engine. So we're going to put it wherever people want it. Right now it's on Mac and Windows and iOS, and so it's Steam, things like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for talking with me. Really appreciate it. You have a great PAX.
Oh, thank you. You too. Appreciate it. Thanks. So you see it turns red there a little bit. And you can interrupt him again. He's like, ah. Just, you can just like whack him off. So.